Hello everyone. I'm Andrew. I'm Andrew Warner. I'm the Senior Marketing Director for Expedia for Europe. So the senior bit is just in lieu of a pay rise, so effectively I'm just the Marketing Director for Europe. And I'm here, I was asked to talk to you a little bit about big data. I was at a creative awards ceremony just before Christmas, and a very well-known luminary from the advertising agency made a rather rude remark at the start of the evening. He said, "Big data, what the fuck is that?" Well, it's a pretty good question, and I think I would say that in terms of what I'm going to show you today, it's absolutely fair because, I mean, what is big data? What does it mean? But at Expedia, we think it's not really the size of the data that you have, it's what you do with it that counts. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of a case study as to what we're doing at Expedia, how we're approaching the way in which we handle data, but what that really means commercially. And if we have time at the end, I'll show you a little bit about what it means for our advertising as well. So, Expedia, hopefully most of you know who we are. I'll do a little bit of a summary for you, and hopefully it justifies why I'm here talking about this subject for you. But we are the world's largest online travel agency. I say ex-who because my mum had no idea who we were when I joined, so I failed the mum test. But we are the world's biggest online travel agency. We've got about 150 sites in about 70 countries. We have about 50 million visitors a month, which is quite a lot. And actually, this is a really impressive stat. I was pretty blown away by this. Every minute, there are 200 or more Expedia mobile phone apps downloaded. So this is a really big area for us as well. We're not just a sort of a website that you access through your computer. We're very much a player in the mobile space as well now. But there's a lot of online players out there. The travel market, as I'll talk about, is full of different people trying to sell you stuff. I think one of the things which makes us a bit different is the fact that last year we spent around about $500 million in R&D, which is a huge sum of money, because at our heart, as I'll come on to, we're a technology company. We are a travel retailer, but we're also a travel company which invests very heavily in technology, basically to make travel better for consumers. And that's really what we're all about. We're all about making travel better for consumers. Our mantra is around revolutionizing travel through technology. So that's what we're about as a company. But we also spent about $2 billion last year in marketing. So that's a huge sum of money, and you may be thinking, oh my goodness, I can't believe they actually spend that much. That's a global figure, but of course a lot of our marketing spend isn't just in big brand advertising. We do some of that, but it's also very digitally focused. It's very transactional. We do a huge amount of performance marketing. So this is a pretty big business. It's a pretty big company. In fact, more hotels are booked through Expedia globally than through anyone else, enough to fill Manhattan Island for 3 years in a row every year. So this is huge. So all of this means that we have a lot of data. But what do we do with it, and why does that matter? And the other thing which I often hear in terms of companies such as ours is that companies which are very data-orientated tend to be a little bit dull. They tend to be very much sort of performance-orientated about the sort of next 0.5% increase in conversion. But we were very lucky last year. We actually won more advertising awards than any other UK-based advertiser in the creative shows, for example, Cannes Lion. So when I talk about my friend from the advertising industry, we believe that you can have a focus on data, not necessarily at the expense of creativity. So as I touched upon, we were born in 1996. We were born as a digital company, so you might expect that we're sort of experts at this. In actual fact, this is probably the paradigm that most people know Expedia through, a beige box on a desk. And we were born from Microsoft, so we were born very much from that sort of technology background rather than the travel industry. However, as everyone knows, these days the world's changing. I know you all know the stat around the fact that there are now more people buying tablets and smartphones than there are buying PCs, but that has some pretty fundamental implications for our business. Because rather than sort of set times of day at weekends when people are looking to book travel, this has become a much more dynamic industry, an industry where people want services on demand, an industry where the paradigm isn't other travel industry competitors, it's all of the other e-commerce companies who are at the cutting edge of digital media and technology who we're judged by and are our competitors, if you like, for how the consumer assesses the service in which we deliver. But we are probably quite unique insofar as we're a travel company. Yeah, there's loads of others, TUI, Thomas Cook, they're travel companies, so are we. But we're also a technology company, there's loads of those, Google, Apple, Twitter, whoever. But first and foremost, we're also a retailer, and we have all of the dynamics that come with retail. That means it's very fast moving. It means that every dollar counts. It means that margins are tight. It means that we're a trading organisation as well. So it means that we can't just sort of sit around theorising around the future. We have to implement stuff in real time, and we have to serve customers in real time, 24 hours a day, as best we can. And there aren't very many companies which fit in that paradigm. Unfortunately, one of my other presentations is around, if I think about digital, when I started out in the sort of world of .com, which was around just before the .com boom, a lot of people really didn't get what sort of this internet thing was all around. And one of the things which has always stuck with me is this guy said, well, the way I think about it is it's back to the future. It's like the local corner shop that people would go to in the 50s, where the guy knew you. He knew you hadn't been in for 3 weeks. He knew you'd probably run out of your favourite cheese, and he already had it there waiting for you and said, hi there, Mr. Warner, I've got your favourite cheese in. I know you probably need some this week. And that, I thought, was a great paradigm, because all of this data that we get from people should enable us to anticipate the needs of consumers, be able to personalise, target, give them stuff which is contextually relevant. Unfortunately, digital has also been used to reduce costs. It's been used to take out customer service by many businesses. And also, it means that there's a low barrier to entry for many organisations, and that's led to commoditisation, particularly in our space. The metaphor which I use is online travel agents are perhaps a little bit like ticket machines. You punch in some details of where you want to go, when you want to go there, a price comes up, you put your money in, and a ticket comes out. And if one ticket machine's not working, or it doesn't have what you want, you just move along to the next one. There are pink ones, there are yellow ones, there are blue ones, but essentially, if you go to most online travel agents, certainly 5 years ago, they would all look the same. And that means for us, as the company which founded the category, we were the first online travel agency with real-time data and spinning that travel agent's monitor around to the consumer, so they were in control. They weren't being sold something that someone else wanted to sell, but what they wanted to buy. That's now taken as read. That's now something which is commoditized, and that has implications for our business too, and something which we're using technology to address. So in this world of big data, is it all about mobile? Is it all about social? Is it all about Facebook? You've probably been hearing a lot of presentations about this kind of stuff if you've been coming to these seminars, and there are all this data which is being generated. So what's it all about? Where should you place your bets? Where is the focus? What should you be doing? Well, ultimately, it's all about the same thing it always was. It's about the consumer. It's about serving these people as best as possible, because if you serve these people better than your competitors do, you will stay in business, you will make money, you will get repeat business, you'll get recommendation, all the stuff which all good retailers want to achieve. And that fundamentally has not changed. But what data allows us to do is to serve these people better. If you think about the world of travel, and I talked about that metaphor around the ticket machine, if you look at the far side of the graph, the far right-hand side as you are looking at it, there are a bunch of companies out there who can help you with a travel search. You punch in some dates, you say how many people are going. There are lots and lots of businesses out there, whether they're search engines, comparison engines, online travel agents, who will do that search for you and come back with some results. The problem is it kind of forces you into a very fixed format of search, and the reality of travel, which is a very emotional category, is actually people aren't sure exactly what they want. And their question is, hey, I want to go on holiday, I've got a family, where should I go? And I'm sure many of you will have families, and you will know that if you do have children, then there's a whole bunch of other things that you need in a holiday, whether that's childcare, whether that's a crash, whether that's a child-friendly hotel room, which traditionally online travel agents haven't been very good at doing, because it's all very formatted and based on sort of an interface, actually into a system which was designed largely for travel agents to use rather than for consumers. So that's something which we want to change. But beyond that, there's this world which my head of product calls serendipity, which is a big word, but in simple terms, it's anticipating what consumers want. And that's where we want to get to. We want to be able to show you stuff that you need, that's useful to you, that's relevant, before you've even asked for it. And that's kind of where we want to go in terms of the continuum from that far right-hand side to where Expedia wants to go as a business. And to put things into context, we believe, because I told you we're a commercial organisation, that middle bit, serving those families better and doing stuff which currently online travel agents don't do very well for them, we reckon if we can crack that, that's an opportunity of $100 billion a year to be able to solve a relatively common problem, which is a family who wants to go on holiday but currently has a multitude of needs which aren't necessarily being served as well as they'd like by some of the traditional online travel agents. So, I'm going to give you an example, a paradigm of another industry. Imagine the weather's getting a bit nicer now, you're starting to think about barbecue season. You want to buy a book about barbecue recipes. Quite likely you'll go to Amazon. Now Amazon, if you've used them before, probably know a little bit about you. They know some of your past buying behaviour, and so they might recommend this book to you, The Barbecue Bible. You probably then will go and check some reviews out. It helps inform your purchase, it's very useful, you can see what other people think. And also, if you give a review back as well, which a lot of people will do, that helps Amazon, because Amazon then know the kind of stuff that you like. If you review stuff, it helps them get better at recommending things to you. But they don't always get it right. This is actually one of my recommendation pages from Amazon. And they've obviously sussed the fact that I've got a 1-year-old daughter. There's lots of toys on there. They've obviously sussed the fact that I've been doing some work to upgrade my kitchen. There's some kitchen utensils on there. But they've also got stuff for a first-year birthday party. Trust me, I did a first-year birthday party for my daughter. If any of you have done a party involving toddlers, you don't want to do another first-year birthday party. They're only one once. So Amazon don't always get it right, because as the financial companies always tell you, past performance isn't necessarily a good guide to future performance or future needs. What you've done in the past isn't necessarily what you want to do in the future. Oops. And we have reviews too. I mean, we do reviews. It's a very important part of our business. This is largely replacing star ratings now as a guide for people. But there is a challenge. You probably can't see, but if you looked closely, this is a hotel in Luxembourg. There aren't very many people, unfortunately, who book holidays or trips from the UK to Luxembourg, and there's very few hotels to choose from in the centre, so they tend to get booked out. So one which is slightly outside the centre, it has reviews, but that exceptional 5 out of 5 score is based on 1 verified review and 39 TripAdvisor reviews. And those people may not be like you. You might go into those reviews, you find that they're actually all Americans who always complain about the rooms being too small in Europe, and they don't have any kids, and that's not you. So that's actually not very helpful. Another complication in travel is what we at Expedia call travel modes. So you can be the same person. Some people might have spotted the mankini on the slide. I can see a few smiles. But you can be the same person, and you can be going on a bunch of different trips according to the kind of thing you need to travel for. From a stag do on the left-hand side, through a romantic weekend, a business trip, or that family trip with the kids. You can be the same person, you can book all of those different types of trips, and your needs on those trips are going to be very different. From the stag do, where you want the cheapest hotel possible, probably hose down friendly, which you're only going to be in for 2 hours, through to the family trip, where you're going to need a bunch of stuff, whether that's creches, all the stuff I was talking about earlier, very different needs. So the risk is that if Expedia, if you made that first stag do trip, we would just keep recommending to you stag do stuff, and you would be thinking, that's actually not very helpful. But here's the thing, and this is an important slide. It looks quite boring now, but I'm going to build upon it. One of the things that we're very lucky with at Expedia, compared to some of our competitors, is we do have a full product suite. Who cares? So what? Well, actually, this is important. I'll come on to why. It's quite easy, well, not easy, but it's possible to disintermediate hotels. There's lots of people out there who could do hotel searches, provide you information on hotel rooms. It's an easy purchase. There's lots of search engines out there who help you find cheap flights. But at Expedia, we sell flights, we sell cars, we sell destination experiences. On some of our sites, we sell rail, we sell Eurostar in the UK. We might sell cruises. There's a whole bunch of things which we sell on our site, which you might buy from us, and people do buy from us. You can buy single ones, but also we can bundle those together for you in packages, and we can dynamically price things for you, so the price of your package is hopefully less than if you bought all of those things separately. So we can dynamically price around stuff, but also we will give you a single itinerary, a document, which lists all of the stuff you've bought from us. And today that's probably a piece of paper that you print off, and people place religious significance on this, always top of their bag or easily accessible. It has all the information they need for their trip, when they need to check in, when their flight goes. So what, you might be thinking? Well, that's very important now in this new world, which I'll come on to describe. Because at Expedia, we're thinking less about being like other online travel agents and more about being like someone such as LinkedIn. He's crazy, what's he talking about? LinkedIn's all about helping me get a new job, not booking a holiday. Well, here's the thing. The early online travel agents were basically like teletext. They were basically like a travel agent shop window. They just had some prices up on a screen, and then you rang up to book or you sent an email. There are still some sites which do that. We changed that by making all the information real time. But now what we're doing is we're thinking about how we structure the data that we get from all of those different types of bookings, from all of those different people around the world. Because if you use LinkedIn and you've used it for a while, you'll probably notice that now, Facebook do the same, they prompt you to structure your data in a certain way. They ask you certain questions. If you haven't completed certain fields, they'll ask you to. And by structuring the data, by structuring the information that you are willing to share with them, they are able to make recommendations which often feel serendipitous. People you might know, the amount of times that you see someone, oh yeah, I knew that person, I worked with them 3 years ago. How did they know that? I'm going to link in with them. And of course, all of this is based on building this huge, if you like, career graph, person graph of all of the people in the world, who they're linked into, what they do, the occupations they have, what they click on. All of this information helps LinkedIn give you a very simple page which makes you recommendations about people you might know, jobs you might like, groups you might be interested in joining. And I talked earlier about how that serendipity is where we want to go with Expedia. And this is really fundamental to us, because I told you we sell a lot of stuff. There's a very long techie presentation I could give you, but I'm going to try and keep things simple. Imagine a trip between two destinations. They're the airport codes, that's the techie stuff. They're the places, Los Angeles and New York. Simple, quite an easy trip. A lot of Americans make that trip every day. Return trip. That is how many different combinations there are on Expedia you could book for that trip. How many different variations there are on that very simple trip between Los Angeles and New York. The different types of car you could book, the different types of hotel room you could book, the different times of day you could go, the different trips you could book whilst you're there, the tours that you could do. There are that many combinations. There are over 1 billion, in fact over 1 trillion if you include tours, variations on a trip from London to New York. And that's massive. And of course, no consumer is going to be able to search through such a massive number of stuff. So we have to try and give them the most relevant stuff as quickly as possible, because they're impatient. They're generally searching 48 sites on a single travel booking. We have to give them that information as quickly as possible, as relevantly as possible, to hopefully get that conversion, make that booking, and we have to do this over and over again every day. But what we realised is all of this information that we're getting from consumers in all of those countries that we trade in around the world is allowing us to do what LinkedIn do, which is to build the travel graph. Because we can actually start to see what people book, what the signals are, the combinations that they do, the different types of things they tend to book in combination, to build this really clever, beyond my comprehension, algorithm which starts to enable us to do stuff like this. We might figure out that you are a single person traveling to Barcelona, and on the same day there may be a family who are traveling to Barcelona, and they're going to travel, they're going to get a flight, a hotel and a hire car, both groups of people, but the needs that those two groups of people will have will be different. And based on what we recommend to them and show them, we stand a better chance of getting their business. So in simple terms, all of this data, by structuring it better, helps us build this thing that we call the travel graph. And what that enables us to do is it enables us to deliver more control to the consumer, more relevant information in the right context. And this is fundamentally changing the way in which we think about the product. That very simple trip, which I talked to you about earlier, lots of complication behind it, but we need to present it in a way that's right for the device that you're using, with the recommendations which are right for you. And also there are opportunities here for upsell if we get this right. The other great thing about scale, and this is where our size really does come into play, is not only can we build this graph, it means that we can also test stuff out in real time. Now, I told you how Expedia was one of the original .com companies way back when, set up by Microsoft. That meant we had a pretty crappy legacy platform, to be honest. Our site didn't change very much for a number of years. And what that meant was we were actually built for a previous digital age, if you like, .com 1.0, not the world that we're in today. So we have fundamentally re-engineered our platform to enable us to structure this data, but also to test stuff. If you look at the period from before 2005 to 2009, if you assume, we won't tell you because our competitors would love to know, that's how many different tests we did, trying stuff out and seeing what happened, A/B testing, if you like. If you got to 2011, you suddenly see in 2010, when we changed platform, this massive step change. And last year, that's 2012 actually on there, but we actually increased that again. In 2012, we did 30 times as many searches as we did in tests in all that preceding period. In 2013, we actually doubled that again. So we can try stuff out. We've got all these different consumers. We can divert traffic different ways and at scale hit different types of consumers with different presentations of our product on different devices. We can measure how it converts. We can measure their feedback. We do track feedback, just like Amazon do. And then we can start to really refine this and start to get it right. If you are a small British travel agent, you can't do this because you just don't have enough scale. You don't have enough people to be able to do this fast enough. So scale helps us to get this right, hopefully. And what that then enables us to do is to help change the way which we present our business to consumers. Search starts to become more intuitive. I talked about the serendipity thing. If we structure the data in the right way, we can allow people broader search terms and get them stuff more quickly. We require less of them in terms of forms to fill in up front. They're doing 48 searches. They don't want to hang around clicking loads of boxes. And this is stuff which is happening today. If you go to our US site, which has got slightly more of this technology already implemented, and it's coming into the UK site, it also allows us to provide greater utility to the consumer. This is proper brand engagement. This is not some of the stuff that you might see from a company that sells cereal products making a little game on their website. This is proper consumer value. We've developed this product called Scratchpad. Scratchpad, I talked about those 48 searches that consumers do. They open different tabs, they go backwards and forwards. What does Scratchpad do? It saves the stuff which you've previously searched for. So when you come back to Expedia, it's all there for you. But also, we dynamically change the information which is there. So we will start to tell you, did you know you could actually stay 2 days longer and save $50? Did you know there's a flight leaving 10 minutes earlier, which could save you some money? Did you know there's only 3 seats left on this flight that you searched for earlier, so if you want it, you better book it soon? Real utility, real useful stuff, which helps inform people and helps them make better searches. Better information makes better decisions, makes more loyal consumers. And of course, we also have this sort of click-to-chat functionality, so if it is all too confusing, you can speak to an agent. And what this travel graph enables us to do, and we're testing this actually in Germany at the moment, is we can very quickly channel someone to the right type of agent. So if we see if it is a family booking, you can, in Germany, you'll be routed to an agent who pops up in that box who's an expert in booking stuff for families. Travel, as many of you may or may not know, is actually more like a stock market than it is a static market these days. Prices change all of the time. That's why, frustratingly, sometimes when you search for a flight price, you go through to the booking page and suddenly it changes, because they're changing all of the time. We can start to surface that data for consumers. We can start to show them what's been booked the most on the type of search they're looking for, where's busy, where's demand increasing for, what other people like them are booking. This all enables us to really get the consumer to help them to understand what's going on in the market and when they need to make a decision by. This is our flight engine. and how we've changed it. In the past, we just gave you a pair of flights outbound and back. We maybe put a calendar up there to show you flight price changes. Now, and you may not be able to see this, what we're testing out at the moment is stuff like on the left-hand side of the page, we might have sussed that you're a business traveller. We might start recommending flights for you where business class is actually very cheap. We might start recommending stuff like, did you know if you fly on American Airlines, you get lounge access? We might start showing you stuff like if you're flying to the Caribbean, that actually, if you booked via Amsterdam, you might get it at half the price because air passenger duty is lower than the Netherlands. All sorts of useful information contextual to the search. If you're a family, did you know that this airline offers free trial places? At the bottom as well, we're also showing you stuff like, because I touched on this fact that we can do dynamic packaging, you've searched for a flight between these two destinations. Did you know that if you actually turn this into a package, you could get a hotel for the same price, a flight and a hotel for the same price as just the flight, which is pretty awesome there, $330 versus $328, that's a real search. But it's all about context as well. I touched upon how it's all about mobile. If you're searching a distance out for a flight, you've got a bit of time to work out all these different permutations. If you're using this device, the likelihood is most of our consumers who are booking hotels on the mobile are booking for the same day, even the same night, a hotel quite close to where they are. So we don't make them do lots of searches. We immediately surface the information relevant to where they are, and in real time, based on their profile, we will serve them offers. So for example, if it is midnight and they've missed the last train home, we will surface hotels which have got check-in till 5 a.m. in the morning, and we'll take all the others out. If they are the type of consumer who's very price conscious, we will only initially show them hotels in a certain price bracket, so they can actually book in 2 clicks if they want to, because it's probably a time-pressured purchase. We also now can start to target offers in real time. You might be making the search, we know who you are, and we can start targeting relevant offers into you again, possibly to increase conversion, such as the fact that if you book this, your flights are free. But the itinerary is where it starts to get exciting, because this is where we actually can start stretching our brand engagement from that beige box, probably black these days, that sits on someone's desktop, through to taking our brand actually out with them in their pocket, providing genuine utility based on the data that we have to enable them to have a better travel experience, to take some of the pain out of travel, but also to help, again, offer new opportunities for commercialization. So right now today, if you download the Expedia Mobile App, if you use it, if you book on the desktop or on the phone, we have your itinerary. We present it to you now. It's not just a piece of paper, in a dynamic way, in chronological order. You can make changes to your booking during your trip. We will give you alerts during your trip. We will tell you that your flight's delayed so you can go and get a coffee. We will tell you what gate your flight is going from so you don't need to be in that huddle of people trying to look at the small monitor. We will tell you what time you need to check out. We will tell you if there's a traffic delay to the airport, and so you might want to leave a little bit earlier. We can do all of this dynamically because we've got the information, we know where you are, we know what we've booked, and moving forward what we will start to do is stuff like, hey, we know you're in Barcelona, it's raining today, here's an offer on the aquarium so you can take the kids for free. Other brands aren't doing this because other brands don't have that R&D investment. We are a travel agent, we're not just a search engine. And this is real, true brand engagement. It's going beyond just delivering the booking and using data and structuring the data and the feeds in such a way that we can provide a really good customer experience, which is just getting better and better, which is contextual to the device, which has utility for the consumer. And whereas in the past Expedia was a static website, now the device you're using, the situation that you're in is very fundamentally part of the way in which we deliver stuff to you. There are over 100 different variations of the Expedia site and product offering depending on who you are. Even Google Glass we're experimenting with. This is a guy who's in New York, he's decided he wants a hotel for the night, he knows his price band, and some more hotels have got some rooms that they want to shift, so we put a little feed message into his Google Glass screen saying, hey there, there's 6 more hotels just come up that you might want to consider for tonight, which maybe before weren't in your price bracket. So it's contextual. We're giving you the relevant stuff that's right for you at the right time, in the right format, for the right device. This also allows us to surprise people and delight people. Other online travel agents can't do this or don't do this. We have a scheme called Expedia Elite. If we know that you're a customer who's booked with us before, who's booked certain stuff at a certain value, we might suddenly give you a room upgrade. We might suddenly give you Wi-Fi. We might suddenly give you a coupon for free coffee. Because you're one of our better customers and we value you, we'll give you VIP access to stuff which only Expedia can give you. You still get all your points on the Marriott scheme or the BA flights program if you want to get your executive club points. It doesn't affect that. It's just us being able to target stuff to better improve the customer experience and reward our most loyal customers. So, we've covered a lot of stuff fairly quickly, and because I'm not a super techie, I've probably not gone into all the depths of how we do this, but hopefully you've got an idea as to how this all starts to pan out and why this is now a really exciting category to work in. It's not just those ticket machines, commoditized ticket machines, just spitting out prices and spitting out an itinerary. This is something which is now very much a brand which is able to go to the consumer, target them contextually, give them real-time useful information which they want. But also it allows us to do this based on these profiles that we build of people, not on you having to give us lots of personal data that you might not want to share with us, or reliant on the fact that you have to buy from us very frequently or use us very frequently for us to be able to give you intelligent contextual results, which was that Amazon situation I talked to you about earlier. But what else can we do with this travel graph? Well, a lot of you are here because you work in marketing, as do I. So whilst I fundamentally believe that the product is very much the manifestation of our brand and what people really care about, at the same time, how can we use this to improve the effectiveness of our marketing? How can we take all of these insights, all of this data which we build, which we've structured, and then overlay data that other people have to do better marketing? Well, this is kind of the brave new world of stuff that we're working with right now. We acquired a company called Trivago. Trivago is a German business. You've probably seen their advertising. They do a lot. They're a comparison business for hotels. They are, if you like, the confused.com for hotels. They're very good. If you want a cheap hotel, use them. They'll scan everything for you and come back results very quickly. But Trivago have also built a very, very intelligent TV advertising model. They advertise at a very high rate because they can do so profitably. And they've built this model which they've shared with Expedia. It's all around figuring out what media is delivering the right return to the right consumer. And it's going a little bit beyond the traditional ABC One Adults Buy, which is offered today in many markets, and starting to get into understanding a real target audience. We're also working with a company called DirecTV in the States. They do addressable TV. The easiest way to think about it is like TV advertising, which works a bit like performance advertising. If you imagine two houses next door to each other with the same type of consumer in the same zip code area in the US, they might see two different ad breaks. Well, this technology is now in the UK. Sky have launched a product called AdSmart. Sky IQ have a panel of over 500,000 homes of Sky boxes where you can start to get data on who's seen your advert, and then merge that with your own data and see, did they buy something from you? And which version of their advert did they see? And who are they? Now, if you think about all that insight which we've built, starting to build around different consumers, their need states, the context that they're in, this starts to become incredibly powerful. We're not there yet. But in theory, what we can start doing, and this is what we're working towards, is we can target different consumers with different offers, not just on our website, but also in broadcast media. Now, of course, we do all of the digital stuff that you'd expect us to. We work with Facebook, we work with Google, we do retargeting, we do all of that stuff. But this is where we start to get more effective and more relevant brand advertising, if you like. We're also in the Netherlands working with a company which helps us to sync up the TV ads that you're seeing with what's shown on your second screen. So you're watching an Expedia advert. Say we know that you're a loyal Expedia customer, so we change the advert which goes to you, which tells you as an Elite Plus member you get a specific offer. But then that also appears on your tablet that's sitting in front of you whilst you're watching the television. This is pretty powerful stuff. It improves conversion, we believe. It allows us to optimize, contextualize, to target, to improve ROI, but it also improves relevance. And again, by being more relevant, we improve brand health. And we've taken those insights a step further. We've built target audiences out of these groups that we've made, and we've built a panel, an incentivized panel. So some of our customers are now on a panel of travelers who give us in-depth feedback. We test adverts with them in real time. We show them different things. We get their responses. This is much more powerful than something like a traditional Millward-Brown link test. This is very, very, very targeted to consumers who we've built insights around through the way in which we structure and use our data. And if I go right back to that luminary of the advertising industry who I mentioned at the start, who said, what the fuck is big data? Creativity is what matters. We agree with him. But it's through better understanding our consumers, we can deliver better briefs, more relevant advertising, and that empowers creativity, such as those adverts I mentioned at the start, which have picked up, we're very grateful for it, a whole bunch of awards last year. And that's that. So thank you very much for your time. I think we've got about 3 minutes, so if there are any other questions which anyone wants to ask, please feel free.